Hello guys, it's JongLi here, and I'm bringing you another online commentary battle for Rome Total War. This time it's a 2 versus 2 31k rules battle, and I'm playing as the Macedonians this time. I really rarely play as any other faction than Rome in 31k, so this was quite new to me, and as you might know, I really don't like archers in 31k. I've ranted a little bit about it um, maybe on Biscuit's channel or some other people's channels. But as you can see, I haven't brought any archers, and usually the Macedonians bring at least like 1 or 2 archers because the Cretan archers are really good. But I didn't feel like it, and so I just brought 14 Royal Pikes and 5 Companion Cav units. So I didn't bring a full 20 units, but this is pretty solid infantry and pretty solid cav. As my ally, we have Imperator of the Immortals of War clan. He's playing as the Julii Romans. He plays as them a lot as well, like me. But he's brought 3 Archer Auxilia. 2, 11 Urbans and 6 Praetorian Cav. So he's probably heavily upgraded some of these. Yeah, this Cav is pretty heavily upgraded. Some of them have 2 chevrons. Not sure if they have 3, but it's really heavy cav. And our opponents are Mohamed of the Titans clan and Elita-Legionarii of the Titans clan. Yeah, so at the start, before this battle happened, Elite picked Carthage first, and then I picked Macedon. And Imperator and Mohamed were saying how terrible Macedon was against Carthage. To be honest, I don't really see why, because in CWB they're pretty close. Like, it's one of the closest matchups in CWB. And I know 31k doesn't really reflect that, but I think the infantry is comparable anyway, and the cav is pretty close as well, so I don't really see why Macedon is that much, worse than Carthage. Yeah, and Seleucid is a pretty interesting pick, as is Carthage. So, no one's really in their comfort zone except Imperator. Okay, let's get the battle started. I'm not sure why he's got these peeler screens here, because there's no peeler from the enemy team. So I would have just put them in normal formation, probably. But, yeah. Our initial plan was to skirmish it out with these Archer Auxilia. As you can see, Elite's brought some Balearic Slingers, which are pretty good. Basically, the Cretan Archers of Slingers. So they're pretty strong. It looks like they're gold attack, I think, probably. So yeah, we should be able to skirmish relatively evenly because these Archer Auxilia are gold. And no doubt these slingers were brought to shoot my Macedonian pikes because there's not much else they could really shoot that will be effective. But yeah, so as you can see, Elite moving up his slingers under the protection of their cav. Our overall strategy was to basically push the Seleucids until they broke, and then wrap up the Carthaginians, and hold off the Carthaginians until the Seleucids were broken. So we'll see how that goes. But over here, Elite protecting his Balearic Slingers really well, and although it's tempting sometimes to go for a cav knockout or something on this flank, it's usually better not to. I've learned that the hard way, kind of. When you get greedy and you start shooting for the opponent's slingers and all their cav is already there and ready to protect them, you're never going to get the route quick enough that their ally won't support. So it's usually better not to go for this if they're prepared for it, and just like skirmish it out if you have archers, or rush them down with infantry if you don't have archers. But yeah, so Imperator's is dueling it out. These slingers definitely have the advantage right now because they started firing first, and Imperator's still getting his archers into position. So as you can see, they're dropping really fast. So these guys are down to like half health already, half manpower. So it's actually looking pretty bad in terms of the archer duel in Civil War. Um, Also, we can see the Sacred Band on our left flank, um, just there as support for the cav. So taking a cav fight here in any form is really undesirable, and we're never going to do it. So if they want a cav engagement, they'll have to attack us for it. And as you can see, we have Imperator here taking on Mohamed, and Mohamed making a good move here with the peel screen, trying to bait out some peeler from Imperator maybe. These guys are getting shot with the arrows. I'm not sure why Imperator isn't skirmishing. Yeah, these guys are like hardly damaged. This unit's down a fair bit, so maybe he is skirmishing. But shooting these guys is alright as well, actually. Again, I'm not sure why he has these peeler screens. They're not going to be very effective. There are no Silver Shield Legionaries or anything like that. And we can very quickly see from the opponent's point of view that they're going to try and push this right flank. And there are a couple reasons for this that I think were really good. I think if I was in their shoes, I would definitely attack the right flank as well, because the Romans are on the right flank, and they're the ones you want to be kind of trying to mass route first, because they don't have the pikes to defend from the heavy cav charges. So if you get nice charges in and you can back it up, a mass route can really easily occur. So I managed to notice this, and I told Imperator to swap spots with me, because I'm much better at taking heavy cav hits, and even if my pikes are engaged on their pikes, if I don't lift my pikes, they can't go for a straight on charge. So it's much better for Macedon to be taking this kind of cav hit, as in like all the enemy cav, than it is for Rome to take it. And it's much better for Rome to be aggressive. And as you can see, Carthage has sacrificed a lot of infantry for good cav and the slingers. So it's a good idea to be actually kind of more aggressive on Carthage now, just because they have less units, and the urban cohort's peeler will still be pretty effective, because right now Elita doesn't have a peeler screen. He's just relying on Mohamed for that. So we've managed to spot spots, which is really good, but we've lost all our archers in the process, so we can't really do with them anymore. And as I move around, Elita is just shooting me with the Balearic slingers, which is annoying. But as I believe I pointed this out before, but the reason I don't like archers or missile units in general for 31k is because they lack presence. So if your opponent has 3 slingers or 3 archers, they're not going to swing the game at any moment. They're going to slowly nibble away at the opponent and maybe get you the advantage in terms of infantry, or maybe in the eventual cav fight, but they're never going to instantaneously swing the game in your favor like cavalry can, or where a big infantry push can. So I think the use of archers and slingers in 31k is really limited. I think they can be effective, but not if you bring too many. Both sides in this battle, I think, didn't bring too many. I think probably 4, which is what Elita's brought, is, for me, in my opinion, just my opinion, 4 slingers or 4 archers between 2 people is the most you can bring to stay effective in a fight. So 2 archers per person is probably my preferred. It's not many, but that's just my preference because I don't like them very much, and I haven't seen them be very effective in many battles. But back to the actual events occurring. As you can see, Mohammed's engaged on Imperator's urbans, and this is definitely to just pin him in place, while their cav goes in for a massive strike on Imperator's cav and mass routes, and then carries the route on through to these infantry units here. My cav is over here, and I've sent one cav unit here to try and pick off this slinger unit. These 2 Sacred Band units are here to obviously screw around with me, so I'm going to try and pick them off with my companion cav. because in CWB, if you isolate your units like that, they will get picked off by cav. So you never do that in CWB, and you shouldn't do it in 31k, because that's essentially just wasting 2 units. But yeah, as you can see, I've moved my back row out to this side, and this is to screen off these cav units. This has to happen, or we would have probably lost very quickly, because Imperator can't take his urbans away from this spot, or these pikes will just kill them, and the urbans won't take cav charges very well anyway. So you definitely need pikes here, and pikes are really good for this situation as well. So yeah, I've got my eye on these guys, definitely, and I've still got this one companion cav unit just chasing slingers around here, and making micro hard for Elite and Mohamed. Elite especially, since these are his slingers. I've also noticed that these infantry units are just running away to this side, so I've just moved my infantry. I'm just sliding my infantry more and more this way, just to follow the flow of the battle. And Imperator wanted me to push up with my royal pikes to try and do a combined kind of charge on these guys. It works out a bit, I guess. We get a couple of them and we don't take very many losses. So I guess that was partially successful. It wasn't a massive turn for us, but it did well in pushing them back. And as a result, Mohamed had to pull back his infantry as well. Meanwhile, I'm moving my royal pikes again more to this side, because definitely a big swing is going to happen at some point, and I need my infantry to keep up, or they won't be part of that. And we can see Mohamed moving his cataphracts to this side. I've got this companion cav unit here engaged on a bunch of slingers. They should win, so I just left them there in the melee. And meanwhile, I have managed to rout some sacred band. This sacred band's come back from routing, but I routed the 2 units that were at the back here with my companion cav. So that was really good. Just -2 heavy infantry units, like, that's pretty good for my infantry, and it's definitely good for Imperator as well, because we have less stuff to deal with in the end. So I've managed to rout these 3 units, but I believe these 2 slinger units come back from routing. But this cav unit's gained a lot of experience, and yeah, the slingers are pretty much haven't really done much throughout the battle. I'm sure they've got some kills, but they haven't really swung it in their favor by any large margin or anything like that. So getting rid of them is still good, because over time they will do more damage. So getting rid of them as quickly as possible is pretty good for us. I've moved these pikes here back to the center, or my center, because they definitely need the support. As you can see, Mohamed and Elite have realized that it's not going to work if they're over here, since my pikes were there, and they've moved on to this side. So now, as you can see, they're targeting my infantry that are engaged. And this is a really nice charge from Mohamed and Elite. Very nice combined charge, and it routs 2 of them. But I managed to get my pikes in there, and I do manage to kill a few, I believe, of the cav units, but it's not much. Yeah, and I've got this cav unit out here just resting a bit, just making sure they don't get caught by the enemy cav. And I'm just gonna screen off again with these pikes. So yeah, Elite going for a potential charge, and he does go for this charge. I do get my pikes down in time, so that's pretty good. And he pulls back because he knows my pikes are down. Here Mohamed's going for a side charge on my general unit, which is really good for him, because my general unit will melt pretty much. And as you can see, it's taking really heavy losses. It's down to 90 something, so it's like 30 guys from one charge. And we can see him getting a bit greedy here. And at this point, I've gathered all my companion cav back, so I see a really nice opportunity here to get the cataphracts. So I lift my pikes and I charge my companion cav units in, and this is a really good charge because it breaks all the cataphracts, and they pretty much rout. And Imperator's done a really nice charge here too. It was a slice charge, I believe, down this side. I forgot to lift my pikes because I was so focused here, but that was really good work from him. He routed the units right here, over here. So that was a load off my back. And he also charges in to help me in this cav fight here. I have tried pulling out my cav at this point, but for some reason they just got stuck on this infantry blob, and it took many move orders to kind of get them out of there. So that was a bit annoying. But meanwhile, the enemy cataphracts have routed, and this is always the most expensive part of a Seleucid army. Almost always the most expensive part. So it's really big game swing if you can get rid of them, and that's what I was talking about with the pikes and the cav. So if you bring archers, they'll never be able to orchestrate something that swings the game as quickly as that. But cav and infantry, they can. So that's why I like cav and infantry a lot more than archers or slingers. Over here we can see a cav brawl that Imperator won. And yeah, he was able to get some cav units in the back before the pikes caught up and rout the Carthaginian cav very quickly. As we can see, Mohamed's one of his cataphracts has come back, but Imperator's gonna snipe that down before he can take control of it. As you can see, there it's gone. So we're left with these Carthaginians here, and my general has been pummeled very hard. As you can see, it's down to 4 men, 3 men, and my general is really tough. I'm not sure if I can find him. There he is. He's in the middle of it. He's right in the thick of the mess, but if you hit him down, he'll just get back up. And the Carthaginian general seemed to die first, so that was good news for me. I was dying to get my general out of there, but I didn't want to retreat him in case he got stabbed in the back or something and died. So I was really lucky. He was right in the middle of all that Carthaginian sacred band and didn't die. He fell down a couple times, but he didn't die. So I lift my pikes and get him back into the safety of my dudes. And that's going to be pretty important if they had anything to swing the battle with, because the general's really good morale for the Macedonians, as their morale isn't really that high. But as you can see, we've pretty much surrounded the enemy. I've just sent a couple of these cav units out here to chase down this sacred band cav, and we can fast forward this a bit. So I've just sent like 1 cav unit after it, and I can afford that because the enemy has no cav left, so if we get rid of it, good for us. Yeah. So Imperator is making a really good move here. He's just pushing in with his testudos, and these guys are hardly losing any men to the pikes. As you can see, 81. The pikes aren't really doing that much. And I'm just shuffling my guys around, preparing them for a big push on these Seleucids.
The gods be praised! The enemy's hearts are full of fear, and now they flee!
So as you can see, my guys are just pushing in. Imperator's cav is at the back here ready to basically jump at any opportunity. These units here turn around, and it's pretty much in our favor at this point. As you can see, Seleucid units start chain routing. And Imperator goes for it. It's a pretty beautiful mass route. I'd go in for a charge over here, but for some reason, forgot to lift my pikes, so my guys all died. And the Seleucids didn't lift their pikes even though they were routing, so all the cav died. But it doesn't really matter because we won the battle. So well played to everyone in the game. It was really enjoyable, especially since Elite and Mohamed are really good players. So me and Imperator were pretty pumped after this victory because we never really expected to win. And I didn't save the replay in time, so I asked Imperator to send it to me, and he was kind enough to, so thanks to him for that. As you can see, most of his kills are from cohorts and Praetorian Cav. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.